a noob's top 3 best gun attachments in Cold War that you should be using this very second. Ladies and gents, my name is Xander, aka Diaside, and in this video it's all about the best gun attachments out there. And doesn't matter really if you're a noob or if you're a pro, all of these are really going to come into play, especially if you like to have a hyper-aggressive playstyle. As you all very well know, that is exactly the playstyle that I have, and so really it primarily focuses on 3 main things: consistency, stealth, and landing the first shot. Those 3 categories can really be broken down into multiple attachments, and so to find out as to exactly what all these 3 things are, and then some gun examples and some gameplay proving this, the only thing we have to do is just to simply sit back, relax, grab some Skittles, hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm, and let's jump right into the video. Arriving in the number 3 spot is a category known as consistency. And so you might be thinking to yourself, okay, well, what does this really entail in terms of attachments? Marvelous question, Diaslayers, and that consists of the underbarrel as well as the barrel itself. If you look at something like an SMG or an assault rifle, those types of weapons really need to have some sort of consistency, aka a grip, that's then going to correlate to a very good horizontal and vertical recoil control. However, the same is not necessarily true if you're looking at something like, say, a tactical rifle or maybe a sniper rifle. In that case, you might need something that's going to be more consistent, such as a barrel, and that's going to be damage buffing barrels. To be much more exact, the LC10 that I've been using throughout this entire game footage so far is using the underbarrel known as the field agent grip. Why is this important? Because it gives it that vertical and horizontal recoil control to make it that much more consistent, so that it can be an absolute laser beam. On the flip side of this though, the Tundra doesn't happen to have a field agent grip, or rather an underbarrel, and instead it has a barrel, more specifically the 28.2-inch Tiger Team. The reason why this barrel is so essential is because it's going to give it a 20% damage buff, and that is absolutely vital to have, because then you're going to have much more consistency in getting that one shot every single time. If you're looking for an attachment that's going to give you consistency, it really just depends upon the weapon, but if you're going with an underbarrel or a barrel attachment, you really can't go wrong. And those 2 beauties are going to allow you to land so many more crits, that's going to be like, boom, headshot every single time. Making itself known in the number 2 spot is the category known as stealth. And the only attachment here that's going to give you this is simply found in the muzzle, aka a suppressor or a silencer. I can't tell you how many times that one attachment, a suppressor or a silencer, has saved my bacon. Pretty much what it allows you to do is always make sure that whenever you fire the weapon, you're never going to be appearing on the radar. Think about it like this. When you're playing Team Deathmatch, or when you're playing some more competitive game modes like Search and Destroy, as soon as you fire your weapon, you don't want to show up on the radar. You don't want that, I don't want that, nobody wants that. And so you want to be a sneaky little ninja just like a Naruto, popping that Rasengan, saying ciao, adios, check please, come again, all day long. If you don't happen to have on a suppressor or a silencer, you're going to show up that much more frequently. And not just this, but you're also going to make a ton more sound. The silencer and the suppressor always allows you to make it so that your weapon, when it fires, is also quieter. And so when you have people in close proximity to you, that makes it that much harder for them to hear you. Once again, the LC10 that I was using previously has a sound suppressor. And the same thing goes for all the assault rifles in this game. And you'll see that later on with the AK-47, as that one also happens to have a suppressor, but the same thing is not said for that, the Tundra. The Tundra is meant to be a one-shot weapon. And so with a silencer, it's going to hinder that significantly, and so you can actually use this to your advantage by showing up on the radar not having a silencer. When you fire any sniper, you're going to take that one shot, hopefully land that first shot, get to a different perspective. You're going to use that blip of where you were previously on the radar via the minimap to misinform enemy players, allow that to play to your advantage, and once again, in this case, you don't happen to need that silencer. Hopefully you can kind of get where I'm going with this. But as a general rule of thumb, if you want to play hyper aggressive and say peekaboo, look who got you, use a sound suppressor or a silencer of some sort for your SMG, your assault rifle, your tactical rifle, it doesn't matter, as it's certainly going to give you the upper hand. At long last, we have finally reached the number 1 spot, and the category that covers this is landing the first shot. As we all know, landing the first shot is vital to have in this game. If you happen to have a very fast reaction time, then you're going to be set. But something that can correlate with this beautifully is having a faster aim down sight time and a faster sprint to fire time, and that's going to correlate to 2 overall attachments, which will essentially help you land that first shot. These attachments are then found in the 2 categories known as handle and stock. In general, When you're looking at the handling, that's always going to increase the aim down sight time, whereas the stock, that's going to increase the sprint to fire time. Many people don't realize this, but those two categories go hand in hand because a lot of you who are playing hyper aggressive are going to be sprinting very quickly, stopping, then aiming down sights, and so you have to have that fast sprint to fire time in association with a fast ADS time. It doesn't matter what kind of weapon that you're using, an SMG, a sniper rifle, a tactical rifle, or an assault rifle. I don't care if you're trying to quickscope, I don't care if you're trying to be very sneaky, I don't care if you're trying to be in the back of the map. Every single player needs to have a faster two categories of the aim down sight time and sprint to fire time. Just as a quick reference, and we'll see more about this in just a couple of seconds, but the LC-10 happens to have a handling known as the airborne elastic wrap, whereas it also happens to have a stock known as the radar stock. Likewise, the same thing is also true for the Tundra, the Carve 2, and the AK-47, and so you guys can really see that no matter what kind of weapon that you're using, all of those need to have the basic principles of having faster ADS speed and faster sprint to fire times. Let's put it this way, if you happen to have a very fast ADS speed and a very fast sprint to fire time, you're gonna be like Smaug in The Hobbit, melting every single player in your path, and there's not gonna be a single thing left because you're gonna incinerate, eviscerate, and eradicate every player, and it's gonna be one of the best gratifying feelings in the entire world. As I mentioned from earlier, what I want to do now very briefly is I just want to show you all the attachments that I'm using for the LC-10, the Tundra, the Carve 2, and the AK-47, all of which you've been seeing throughout this entire video so far. What you're going to notice is that most of them happen to have some kind of consistency element, a stealth element, or a landing the first shot element. However, not all of them adhere to exactly these three rules. Remember what I said from earlier, that Tundra doesn't need to have a silencer on it because once again, it's trying to get that first shot to be that one-shot kill every single time. On the flip side to this though, the LC-10 nor the AK-47 happens to have a barrel attachment, and rather they happen to have a grip attachment, making it more consistent, increasing the weapon's overall horizontal and vertical recoil. Following this exact same wavelength, you're probably going to notice as well that the Carve 2 doesn't happen to have a magazine perk on here, because what does it overall have? A colossal magazine size, and that has I think 45 bullets in the magazine, and so it doesn't need to have a faster reload, as that's more than enough to go ahead and get 4 or 5 players no problem. As you might have already inferred, this isn't the case though for the LC-10, the Tundra, or the AK-47, thus they happen to have a magazine attachment. And hearing all this fluff cabbage trash shenanigans, I think it's safe to say that by now, you clearly understand where I'm going with this. Every single noob, and for that matter every single pro out there, needs to keep this in mind. Consistency, stealth, and landing the first shot are the 3 categories that you need to keep in mind to be able to use attachments for this weapon or that weapon. Not every weapon is going to adhere to this perfectly, and that's a-okay. As long as you can keep the hyper-aggressive playstyle in check with the right appropriate attachments, there is no doubt in my mind that you're going to have a lot of fun, you're going to make players say what the heck did I just get wrecked by, and in the process, make them all a little bit salty. Let me know what you all think about this down in the comment section below, and whether or not you're a noob or a pro, if this is helpful, if it's not, if you like to use some different attachments for that weapon category or this weapon category, and no matter what you guys say, you always know that I'm going to respect your opinions, and that is something that I can guarantee. That's much all I've got for you as of right now, Diaslayers. As always, GG, TNT.